So good morning, everybody, and welcome to Digital Day 18 here in Brussels. And welcome to all of you, but first of all, Vice President Ansip, welcome to our event here, Commissioner Gabriel, Deputy Minister Dimov, members of the European Parliament, ministers, vice ministers, secretaries of states, ambassadors, and of course, all participants of the event, welcome to Digital Day 2. Digital Day 2 is following up on the agreements of Digital Day 1 in Rome last year. And this was a highly successful event, I've been told. I wasn't there. I'm glad to be here today, but Rome was successful since you reached agreements and actions on really important topics like high-performance computing, digital transformation of jobs and skills, and connected automated mobility. We'll talk about all that today also, but about even more. So this is about artificial intelligence also, about blockchain technologies, about e-health, and I'm looking over here, you see, there are those symbols marking the topics we will be covering today. And I guess those topics are about the future of Europe. It's the most important thing you can talk about. And I have two kids, 12 and 15 years old, and actually they will be, when school is over, joining the webcast here, and they will listen in since they are indeed interested in what's going on here. And we should think about those guys, those teenagers, those young people while we are talking about all the stuff here today. So let me start with a little bit of housekeeping also. We had already on the wall the hashtag for Twitter and social media. So everybody who is listening on the webcast is invited to use this hashtag Digital Day 18 also, and I will get those questions you may have to ask provided by the social media team of the European Union. We will discuss all those too while we are talking here on stage, so this is really interactive. And there is even more. We do have online polls. You see the web address and the code, menti.com, and then the code 535472. There you can log in. Of course, you all here in the audience can do that too. And you will find questions. We invite you to answer. And we will use the results of those questions here on stage also. So that's another interactive tool. So, maybe it's good for me to just briefly introduce myself. My name is Carsten Knoop. I'm the editor-in-chief of the digital products of Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung. And I do know what it means to try to change a newspaper into something that is working in the digital age. It's really hard. But basically, that's something all of us will have to achieve in politics, running companies. How do we become digital? It's really a challenge. Let's talk about it. Let's get a grip on it. And we'll start. We're already running late. So everybody who is on stage, please talk quickly. We're already running late, so we'll start with an opening speech by Vice President Ansip, whom I welcome to stage. Mr. Ansip, the stage is yours. Please.
Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today. Mariya, thank you for chairing this digital day. Many of us here remember the day 1 year ago when we met in Italy to hold Europe's first digital day. It was part of the celebrations to mark the 60th anniversary of the Treaties of Rome, a good opportunity to reflect on the future of the European Union, its digital future. We achieved a great deal in Rome. EU countries signed up to going further on digital, to make the most of new technologies, recognizing their value for progress and prosperity. We focused on supercomputing, digital industry, and connected and automated driving. Today is the time to look at the progress made over the last year. How to keep up the momentum to build on our Rome success and to go further in other important areas of the digital single markets. This year, I will again ask countries to commit to Europe's digital and data-based future with a focus on artificial intelligence, digital healthcare, and blockchain technologies. But first, I think we should recall what our digital single market project has achieved so far. I say that because without removing barriers that prevent digital growth, without the right legal environment, without adequate investment, Europe will not have much of a digital future. As we speak, a strong and functioning digital single market is under construction. More than that, a new legal environment is falling into place and into effect. On data protection and security, we have the General Data Protection Regulation about to enter fully into force across all EU countries. We have the NIS directive. We are strengthening cybersecurity in general. We are creating ways for data to flow more freely across Europe. Roaming surcharges have gone. Soon, it will be the turn of unjustified geo-blocking to disappear. Since April, people can have access to their video and music subscriptions when they travel around Europe. In the coming weeks, EU countries should agree on a new telecoms policy that will help 5G to become a reality for millions of people and businesses. In short, the digital single market is really starting to happen on the ground. It will permit and promote the development of technologies like artificial intelligence, and I'm pleased to see AI come onto the political agenda in many EU countries. A few weeks ago in France, President Macron presented a national plan to spend 1.5 billion euros over 5 years to support AI and joint projects with Germany. This is exactly the kind of cooperation that Europe needs for its digital success. It gives me confidence that in this area, Europe has a solid basis for the future. According to Atomica, we are home to the world's leading AI research community. And the European tech sector identifies AI and blockchain as the areas where Europe is best positioned to play a leading role. However, it is no secret that we have to invest both politically and financially. There is quite some ground to catch up. Other continents are moving ahead quickly. Today, I encourage those EU governments represented here to sign a declaration to work together more on artificial intelligence. This includes pledges to invest in AI to development and deployment, Align national research agendas as much as possible. Make AI available to all companies and more public sector data available. Work together on ethical, legal, and socioeconomic aspects of AI. I would like to see EU countries make a similar commitment to blockchain technologies, now moving out of the lab and going mainstream. As with AI, we should make the most of this new opportunity to innovate. Let me turn now to healthcare, where I have often stressed the need to digitize. Here too, I would like to see as many EU countries as possible make a formal commitment. Why? Because digital technology can help save lives, encourage healthy living, bring innovation, as well as increase efficiency. Again, the driving force is data. Ladies and gentlemen, I said earlier that the digital single market creates the right conditions and infrastructure for a functional digital Europe. But none of this comes for free. With financial support, the EU does what it can. But our public purse only goes so far. It represents about 1% of the wealth that EU economies generates every year. National governments and the private sector need to contribute too. The future-oriented areas I have mentioned today require significant funding if we are to make the most of them. Funding not only for today and tomorrow, but far into the next decade as well. As you know, when the EU approaches the end of its multi-annual budget period, EU institutions discuss and negotiate how the next one should look. Inside the European Commission, the preparation is underway. For the digital single market to work for people and business, to advance on our digital priorities, to make sure that Europe is a world digital leader, we need hard cash. Blunt, perhaps. But there is no other way of putting it. For that, we need your support to fund Europe's digital future starting from 2021 in the next budget. For me, the priorities are clear. I have already mentioned artificial intelligence, and for this we will also need increased funding for supercomputers. With cybersecurity, we are working to create a network of cybersecurity competence centers in the member states, bringing together academia, industry, and the public sector. Its aim is to transform research into specific products and services that will directly strengthen Europe's cybersecurity. To achieve this will require more EU funding. To develop strong cybersecurity capacities that will protect the digital single markets and defend our security more broadly. Along with the commitments that I would like to see EU countries make today, this is the one message I want to convey. So please spread the words on funding to your governments, industry and business sectors, civil society and consumers. Europe needs digital. We all need digital, and we need a solid investment in Europe's digital future. I know that this is the message that Mariya and Günther will also give today. thank you, and I wish you a successful Digital Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. And before Mariya Gabriel joins the stage, I wanted to highlight the translation we have. So Commissioner Gabriel will deliver her speeches in French, I guess. So if you want to listen into English, just use this device. So Commissioner Gabriel, please, the stage is yours.
Cher vice-président Ansip, mesdames et messieurs les ministres, chers membres du Parlement européen, mesdames et messieurs, tout d'abord, permettez-moi d'exprimer le plaisir et l'honneur d'être aujourd'hui avec vous et de vous souhaiter la bienvenue ensemble avec le vice-président Ansip au nom de la Commission européenne. Cette journée numérique 2018 arrive un peu plus d'un an après celle qui s'était tenue à Rome. À cette occasion, mesdames et messieurs les ministres, vous avez signé des déclarations importantes qui ont montré la volonté des États membres de s'engager dans des progrès concrets dans des domaines comme le calcul de haute performance et la mobilité autonome. Ces déclarations ont permis de faire avancer la numérisation de l'industrie européenne avec des pas décisifs. Nous avons depuis lors adopté des initiatives politiques importantes. Certaines ont déjà été citées par le vice-président Ansip. Mais permettez-moi de les rappeler. C'est toujours utile. D'abord, l'exécution du traité de Marrakech pour faciliter l'accès aux publications destinées aux personnes malvoyantes pour lire des ouvrages imprimés. La fin du blocage géographique injustifié pour assurer un accès égal au contenu digital où que vous soyez dans l'Union européenne. Sur le spectre, la libération de la bande des 700 MHz va améliorer les services 5G et les nouveaux services en ligne. Notre initiative Wi-Fi for EU, des hotspots Wi-Fi publics et gratuits dans les communautés locales de l'Union européenne. La portabilité de contenu digital, la fin des frais d'itinérance qui harmonise l'utilisation et le prix de la téléphonie mobile et des services de données dans l'Union. Comme vous le voyez, de sérieux progrès ont été réalisés, mais il reste encore du chemin à faire. Aujourd'hui, nous avons l'occasion de réfléchir en profondeur aux différents domaines dans lesquels nous pouvons avancer ensemble et pour lesquels une stratégie d'investissement efficace et forte est nécessaire. Le Digital Day est un événement unique, permettant un engagement conjoint de la Commission européenne, des États membres et de toutes les parties prenantes pour traiter des défis liés au développement numérique et faire en sorte que la transformation numérique bénéficie à tous les citoyens et à toutes les entreprises européennes. Ce n'est un secret pour personne que l'ampleur et la rapidité des changements de notre société et notre économie dus au numérique sont sans précédent. L'émergence et l'adoption de technologies telles que l'intelligence artificielle, le blockchain, ainsi que les nouveaux paradigmes dans les domaines du calcul et des communications sont susceptibles de toucher tous les secteurs de l'industrie partout dans le monde. Cependant, nous ne voilons pas la face. L'Europe court le risque de perdre sa compétitivité globale dans le numérique si certaines actions décisives ne sont pas entreprises. Durant la première phase de la transformation numérique, l'Europe a déjà perdu la course des plateformes en ligne. Avec le rythme actuel de la numérisation de son économie et de son secteur public, l'Europe fait maintenant face à la perspective de continuer à perdre de la vitesse dans tous les champs de l'industrie et des services face au reste du monde. Les acteurs du numérique qui réussissent grandissent rapidement, opèrent de manière globale. Nos principaux concurrents, comme les États-Unis et la Chine, s'engagent avec des efforts considérables pour maîtriser et déployer le plus largement possible les dernières solutions numériques. Pour nous, il est clair que ce n'est qu'en adoptant une approche européenne de la régulation de la transformation numérique que nous pourrons refléter notre détermination à forger des écosystèmes numériques qui respectent nos valeurs et nos principes européens. De même, soyez convaincus que l'Europe ne pourra pas prospérer avec un effort fragmenté et sous-dimensionné. Il est essentiel d'agir de manière collective, car ensemble, nous pourrons relever ce défi. Des actions concrètes au niveau de l'Union européenne sont indispensables, y compris pour mobiliser les moyens financiers à la hauteur de nos ambitions. Aujourd'hui, nous allons ensemble effectuer les premiers pas pour relever ce défi dans les domaines de l'intelligence artificielle, les blockchains, la santé électronique et l'adoption des innovations numériques. Je suis convaincue que la signature des déclarations qui ont été préparées pour chacune de ces priorités nous permettra d'être plus ambitieux, plus engagés pour construire une Europe plus forte et plus compétitive. Je tiens à remercier chaleureusement tous les ministres et les représentants de haut niveau des États membres pour avoir fait le déplacement jusqu'à Bruxelles pour leur engagement. Je voudrais aussi remercier les membres du Parlement européen, les représentants de l'industrie, ainsi que tous les participants à cette conférence pour leur intérêt et leur engagement dans le développement durable d'une Europe digitale. J'espère que ce Digital Day 2018 contribuera à nous faire progresser vers notre objectif commun, qui est celui de mettre la transformation numérique de notre société et notre économie au service des intérêts de nos concitoyens et nos entreprises, et ainsi assurer un avenir prospère et durable pour tous. Je vous souhaite à tous une excellente journée, riche en discussions et échanges intéressants. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Commissioner Gabriel. And, well, Vice President Ansip, when 2021 is reached and you will be mobilizing all this new money, my son will get into university and he will be very interested in where you have spent the money for. And Commissioner Gabriel, while preparing this event and being engaged within preparation, I could see, as an outsider, to have a sneak peek how you work here together within the European Union to achieve the things we will be signing today. And let me tell you, it's amazing and it's really good news. So I look forward to what's going on here today, and you should too. So of course, this is organized by the European Commission under the auspices of the Bulgarian presidency of the Council of the European Union. So I am pleased to invite Ivan Dimov on stage, the Deputy Minister, Ministry of Education, Science of Bulgaria. So welcome, Mr. Dimov.
Thank you. Dear Vice President Ansip, dear Commissioner Gabriel, distinguished ministers and guests, I am honored to be here today among you and to have the opportunity to address on behalf of the Bulgarian Presidency of the Council of the EU important challenges and opportunities facing the great digital transformation of the European society and economy today. I believe that we all together could achieve visible and sustainable results for all European citizens, and above all, to give a clear message to the young generation that their future based on knowledge and skills is important to us. The year 2018 is a fundamental year for the European Union as we look forward to the Commission's proposal for the new financial framework program in the context of Brexit and other global and domestic challenges for the Union. Against this backdrop, 2018 is also key for European cooperation in research and innovations, as well as education and youth, as we will start work on the US 9th Framework Program for research and innovation and the next generation of Erasmus+. It is also a decisive year to step up our effort on national and European level to make the European Union the home for enterprises and innovators in the digital age, as our European leaders call for it, notably as the last digital summit in Tallinn. To reinforce those efforts and to maintain our ambitions on the digitalization, it will be important to work forward, maintaining the level of European investment in sectors that generate and develop knowledge and innovation, world-class digital infrastructure, including cohesion funds. While our primary commitments is to improve EU competitiveness through research and innovation, enhancement of digital skills, broad adoption of digital technologies, and a strong supply of leading-edge digital technologies, we have also to look further in the modernization of the national research and innovation system in order to achieve excellent and implementing regulatory frameworks, removing undue obstacles to digital innovations. I would like to stress also that we have to share mission to build sustainable and cohesive Europe, and we would not let the digitalization to increase further social inequalities. That is why important element of the future debates in Europe will be introducing complementary measures within the European financial instruments to reduce social isolation and slow economic growth in different regions, and especially how to use the digital agenda for creating greater inclusiveness in the EU. In the context of one of the leading priorities of the Bulgarian presidency, the realization of the digital single market and the building of a strong digital and competitive Europe, I believe that the future of Europe is closely related to its ability to generate innovation, which is the opportunity to turn brilliant ideas into products and services that boost economic growth and create new jobs. Our intention as a presidency will be to work on the transfer of knowledge as the fifth freedom of the European Union, the initiative launched by the European Council in 2008. 10 years later, we need to decide what concrete measures will optimize the use of research and innovation results, and how we will provide fast and open access to research results to small and medium-sized enterprises. Attracting private investment in the transfer of research results and new technologies can only be achieved through public-private partnership in instruments between the academic and industrial sectors. We are therefore having an ambitious target towards the adoption of the Council regulation establishing a joint undertaking for the development and integrated high-performance computing infrastructure, and on the adoption of the European Open Science Cloud, we have to acknowledge the effort of the Commission to put in place a legal instrument for the HPC, as so far there was no common strategy in place to strengthen European independent access to critical HPC technology, while contributing to the transmission of the European leading supercomputers to the new computing generation. To a large extent, the effort of the European Union and the member states till now have been not synchronized and do not take advantage of economies of scale, making it difficult to effectively develop a European HPC ecosystem. Allow me to reiterate the Bulgarian presidency commitment and determination to progress on the Euro HPC, and on this regard to create ecosystem and develop more efficient centers for further capabilities in less advanced EU regions and also within the framework program associated countries such as the Western Balkan countries. Dear ladies and gentlemen, last year when we have announced the presidency priorities, we asked for an ambitious plan for the development of digital skills and literacy from early school education in order to address the digital transformation. I'm happy that today the European Union already has its action plan on how to strengthen digital education in Europe. Indeed, for the completion of the digital single market, we need increased instruments in education and connectivity, but also in skills and capacity building of the new generation of Europeans from all socioeconomic backgrounds. It is essential to equip citizens and in particular the EU workforce with skills related to cornerstone technologies such as robotics, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, in order to reap the minimum benefits of the cutting-edge technologies for the European economy and societies. I would like to welcome today all the participants to the Digital Day and to wish fruitful discussions on how to increase collaboration and investments to realize the digital European strategy. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Dimov. And now we're building a bridge from Brussels to Rome. Since two Italian guys will join the stage now, and if you will, tell us what's been achieved in Rome, what happened after in those past 12 months after the Digital Day in Rome. And for that, I would like to welcome Director General Roberto Viola on stage. And he will be joined afterwards by Francesco Profumo. That's what I mean by our Italian moments there. So Roberto, please join me on stage, and thanks for organizing this. I guess it's the work of you and your team. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this introduction, and so we are here. Thank you very much for coming here to Digital Day 2. I will, of course, offer my 5 minutes of speech to the next speakers because we are already running late, so I will be extremely brief. First of all, as I said, thank you. Second, to remark that this crazy idea of last year to organize a digital day, so a day where we don't speak much, but actually we show that as public authorities, we are collectively committed to make digital a success for our citizens in Europe. It's actually coming to a reality. We listened from the panelists what is their view on what has been achieved last year. And also, let me say that the topics we selected last year, this year, are topics that are carefully selected to show to the citizens that digital is delivering a better quality of life and new opportunities in terms of jobs and economic growth. And also where the public intervention makes sense. Of course, you cannot expect that there will be plenty of private investment in groundbreaking new generation supercomputers. That's what all the world does, supports it with public intervention. You have to expect that when it comes to e-health and data which are about our genomes, there should be a solid public governance. You have to expect that if you want to really build new services based on like public services, e-government, e-health on blockchain, you need again a solid and secure infrastructure that can keep very safely private data. And that's why it makes sense that public intervention is there. You can expect that to cover 100% an highway, that's not really a big business case. This is again a task for public powers. But these are actions which are directed to create the right ecosystem for then startups, innovators, companies to invest. So that's the synergy we would like to realize. And with this, I really like to introduce the next panel. And the chairman of the panel, Mr. Profumo, former Minister of Research of Italy and President of the San Paolo Bank Foundation. Mr. Profumo. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here, Mr. Vice President, commissioners, member of the Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. Just 1 year from the first digital event, Digital Day in Rome last year, during that day, we had some dreams, and some of these dreams, they became a reality. And today, what we try to do is to go inside to 3 words that I feel that could be the 3 words that we needed to mention more and more in the next year. First of all, the drivers in Europe in order to get this digitalization that is not only in Brussels, in Rome, but is inside the cities, inside our territory, together with our citizens. The second word are the ingredients that we needed to put in place in order to really boost up this new wave of a digital era. And the third point is the investment. As already Roberto said, we need a very strong alliance between public and private investment. And this is one of the key words that we needed to use more and more in our development. Then let me introduce the panelists that we have today with us. The first is Mr. Manuel Heitor, that is Minister of Science, Technology and Higher Education in Portugal. Please sit. The second is Ms. Martina Dlabajova, Member of the European Parliament, Vice Chair of the Committee on Budgetary Control. Thank you. The third panelist, we already know him, is Mr. Ivan Dimov, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Education and Science in Bulgaria. Thank you. The fourth one is Mr. Matthias Machnig, State Secretary at the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Energy in Germany. Okay. I'm sorry, Machnig. And the last one is Mr. Mario Buisán, Director General of Industry and SMEs, Ministry of Economy, Industry and Competitiveness in Spain. Thank you. Let me move in the other part of this. And we are quite strict in terms of... yeah, sorry. Let me move here. And we are quite strict in terms of timing. Then please try to follow the counter that we have in front with Sylvia. And we try to do our best in order to keep the timing right. Then I have 3 questions for you. The first question is, what are, in your experience, the key drivers of the digital transformation? Let me start from the Minister of Portugal.
Francesco, thank you very much for taking the floor. And let me focus on 3 issues in terms of drivers: people, knowledge, and ambition. People, because we have been learned, certainly in Portugal, but out of Europe, the idea to open up the digital world to everyone. If we are able to move into increase the number of users, ultimately we will get into a digital economy, but we certainly need also not only inclusion at large, but new jobs which do require new knowledge. And knowledge creates markets. And essentially, this idea that when we have the ambition to use knowledge to create new markets, we have always been succeeding in creating added value, and particularly at an European landscape, to foster European added value. That is the reason why we should definitely look at applications, but also at medium and long-term challenges where high-performance computing can be an effective way to promote European added value if we can bring together technology with new knowledge and research applications oriented towards the creation of skilled jobs. The experience in Portugal, certainly always in an European landscape, has been to consider drivers from social inclusion to new research areas in a way that we can combine in a key challenge way specialization issues, qualifications for job and education. And this is a battleground. Our experience, if you want me to express the idea of drivers, is definitely not to forget that the digital divide can and should be a key issue in our political debate. And we know that throughout our political landscape, we have different ways to look at the digital challenges, and therefore, the political drivers are always important in achieving a full digital European landscape. Thank you.
Thank you. Then the key words for you are digital divide and the force in order to going on from this side. The second intervention will be by Martina.
Thank you very much, and good digital morning to everybody. First of all, I would like to thank to DG Connect and to Commissioner Mariya Gabriel, because I think this is very good tradition, and since this is Digital Day number 2, I think we can call it tradition. So thanks you very much for this tradition. Well, I will give you 2 answers, if I may, because as politician, I think I can. If I would not be politician, I would answer that the main drivers are technology, consumer demand, and competition. And I could comment on all of them because, of course, we need big investments in technology and digital technologies, which are, of course, driven by consumer demand. We need customer expectation to be followed, because you can imagine that each time a consumer is exposed to an improved digital experience, their expectations are immediately reset to a new higher level, so we can follow them very, very quickly. And the third would be competition, which we need more than ever right now. But this would be a non-political answer. I will give you a political answer because I need to give this message, and I think it's a very important one. So I would answer just that the key driver, the main key driver for Europe right now are people. So we need investing in people, we need to invest in digital skills, and this is the biggest achievement I see in this last year, from the Digital Day 1 to Digital Day 2, that we are able now to cooperate all together, not only between the politicians, private sector, public sector, but inside the institutions, and I see it every day in European Parliament, that there is a transversal cooperation on how the future of people in Europe will look like, and I think we can learn a lot from this digital skills and digitalization in Europe. So this is my very simple answer. Thank you.
Martina, thank you very much. Then skills and people, investment in this. Minister Dimov.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I'm very happy to be here with you and to discuss such important questions. I agree with you that the main driving forces are technology, investments, also people, but also let me mention another driving force, which is curiosity, because very often scientists are driven by curiosity to develop new technologies, new products. At the same time, it's very clear to us that we, Europe, we are too small somehow if you compare us to, say, to China or to America. At the same time, we have some advantages because we have brilliant minds here in Europe. All countries are somehow small, especially Bulgaria is small and not rich country. At the same time, we need to look at some specific niches in which each country can do its best to achieve the best product for Europe and to do our best for European citizens. So this is extremely important from my point of view. Thank you.
Then, thank you so much. Thank you. We know that creativity and what is connected with the creativity is one of the main driving forces in order to create a new idea, new research, new results. Thank you for your contribution. Mario.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Francesco. Good morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you, and I would like to thank you, the DG Connect, for inviting me to be here with you. For me, the three key words are, number one, digital industrial policy, number two, cultural change, and number three, holistic strategy. And I'll try to explain it in a couple of minutes. Number one, I think the digital transformation of companies has to be at the heart of industrial policy. And obviously, I'm talking from my area of competence, which is industry and SMEs. We should not understand today industrial policy without this key element of digitization. And we should move toward what someone has called digital industrial policy. So that's number one. Number two, I think there are a lot of key factors, key drivers behind underlying digitization. And because of that, this variety perhaps is not easy to highlight one of it. We're talking about skills, ecosystems, platforms, SMEs, and so on. But I think there is one factor which is extremely important, and is the cultural factor, the cultural change. So if companies are not aware of the importance of how they have to move and how to change in cultural terms, I think they are not going to be successful in order to reach a successful digital transformation. So that will count as a general element to all the other factors or drivers that we may be thinking about. And number three, the three element is holistic strategy. Why? Because if we are thinking of a variety of factors, a variety of drivers, then what we need is a comprehensive and holistic strategy. A strategy where we try to tackle and we try to face most of the areas of the factors that are behind digital transformation of industries. Also, it's very important to have a strong public-private partnership behind this strategy. And number three, I think we should put the companies, the firms, at the center, at the heart of the strategy, and especially SMEs, because we know that large companies have their own means to go ahead in their digitization processes, but we know at the same time that for SMEs it's not as easy to go through this journey, and then we need support in terms of personalized consultant services. We need also some financing means, because otherwise they are not going to be successful in this journey. Thank you.
And thank you for these new words, holistic strategy. This has to be one of the mainstream for Europe in the next few days and few years. Matthias, please.
Okay, thank you. Not easy after all the comments. So I would look for 4 elements that are key. One of the key drivers is infrastructure. Without having infrastructure, we don't have to talk about digitization because it wouldn't work. By the way, everyone is talking about autonomous driving. We couldn't do it because we don't have the infrastructure so far all over Europe. So the main question is, how can we build up the infrastructure that is needed? And by the way, a very key question is linked to this. What kind of investment framework is needed for this? How can we mobilize more private investment in future infrastructure like fiber and 5G? Second element is, of course, technology and R&D. Technologies like robotics, like blockchain, like cloud computing, and so on. And by the way, we are not leading in Europe. We are not leading on these kind of fields, supercomputing, AI. We have to look what others are going to do. If you look at AI, by the way, the main investment is taking place in China, second place US, and let's say a little bit in Europe, and we have to change to this because without AI and without data analytics, we can't use the fourth element, the third element, that's a driving force, that is data. Data is a key element, and you need, as I said, data analytics. And by the way, we need also a data framework, as we learned from Facebook. By the way, there's a very interesting debate for Europe. Is there a European approach on data security? Because the world and many have doubts that the answers are coming from the US or are coming from China. To do this, to do these 3 elements, and I agree with what has been said by Mario, to support this transformation. By the way, today we are talking about transformation, not about disruption. That's very good, that is progress, by the way. But therefore, we need a certain legal framework. We need policies. We need regulations. We need standards. That's the key. And this framework is going to decide over one question. Are we making progress or are we blocking certain developments? That's key, and therefore we need a couple of things we have to do together. By the way, I totally agree with what has said by the Commissioner. We have to overcome the fragmentation in Europe. The fragmentation in Europe on, therefore, a digital single market is necessary. We need the same security standards on data protection and so on, because no country in Europe can do this job alone. By the way, not even companies, and even big ones, can do things alone. They need more partners to develop the technologies, the infrastructure, the R&D capacities that are needed. And therefore, these elements are for me key. And therefore, we need more cooperation in Europe. And by the way, we need more speed in the decision-making processes in the European Union, because otherwise, we might have another digital day, but the others are going to make the digital reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Then we can add other 3 words. First of all, infrastructure. Second, technology. Third, data. But in addition to this, we have also this good line for the future. First is cooperation between European countries, and second is speed. If we don't have cooperation and speed, for sure we will be defeated by the other part of the world. Then thank you. The drivers are a very good platform for continuous with our discussion. The second question is what are the ingredients for an ambitious European digital strategy to succeed? Then in this case, ingredients. I think we can start from Martina.
Thank you very much. I just hope that you are not doing it just for the gender balance on this panel, that you start from me. Well, one of the ingredients would be involvement of women in digital technologies.
This is not very good.
That would be very...
But you are so strong. Okay, thank you.
That would be very important. Well, as I said before, I was talking a lot about skills and people, and I will do it again because this is what I'm working on right now in the European Parliament. But I will surprise when I will start from something that you love in your business experience, money. We need, of course, money. And what is interesting, we are now discussing the next multi-annual financial framework in the European Parliament. And I think this is something very important we really need to give a space to digital skills and to the digital education for Europe. So I just hope that in the big heading of investing in people, we will succeed to have a big space for digital skills, because we really will need it. And of course, we need that all instruments we use there are flexible enough and able to adapt to future changing needs of the labor market. And this is the point where I'm starting from, because what we are discussing right now at the European level is how the labor markets will change in the future. What will be the real future needs of skills and how we have to adapt to it. We know already that the biggest skill we will need in future will be the flexibility and adaptability. And I think this is even twice as right in digital skills. So we need people who will be flexible and adaptive, and we will need to change the logic of European education system for this. And I think this is a very important point for all member states who are represented here, because of course we can recommend a lot, we can help a lot from the European level, but who will do the domestic work will be member states. So in the changing the education system, which will not require only concrete digital skills teaching in the schools, but will require a new way of thinking, because this new digital transformation will need a new way of thinking. So I'm just very keen on investing in future, motivating young people in being more digital and being more flexible. And I just think that the European Commission, what is doing with the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition and the national level of this coalitions is very important, because I am involved, for example, in my own in Czech Republic, and I think it's very useful for all of us. We need to exchange more best practices. We have a good of best practices. I am very much looking forward to hear some good examples from member states, but we are not good enough to exchange these best practices. We talk a lot about them, but we are not using them. So why sometimes we should invent something which already exists in another country? So just let's look at it. Let's look at the concrete projects. We are able to do very nice pilot projects, but we have to follow on them. So this is something that I will be very much working on in this last year of European Parliament mandate. And I'm just convinced that 9 out of 10 jobs will need some kind of digital skills. We have to find out which kind of digital skills. If it's just working on smartphone, as I see everybody here working every minute on smartphones, or it will be just something more technological, more digital, but 9 out of 10 will need some kind of level of digital skills. This is why we need new way of thinking and new educational system. So I think this is the key ingredient we have to work on.
And thank you. We learned from you that we have 3 very important words, but they have connected one to the other one. Money, investment, but money alone is not enough. Second, invest this money with a priority in education. And third one is very, very important, to go with a step further from pilot project to European project. And as a European, we know that we have maybe the best project in absolute, that is Erasmus project. When we started in 1987, maybe you remember, was just a pilot project. But after a very short time, it became the most important, the most realistic, the most successful project in Europe. Then maybe we have this line that we have to follow. The next, I think, has to be the Minister of Education, Higher Education from Portugal.
Thank you, Francesco, again. Speaking about ingredients, I will certainly focus on skills for a fast-changing environment. We need to train every day kids for jobs that we don't know which will be in the next 10 years' time. And developing skills throughout a wide diversity of people, of attitudes, of societies, of economies will certainly require to strengthen the investments in our research infrastructure, in our education infrastructure, together with create jobs, skilled jobs, which allow us to bring additional investments. And this will require more and more new instruments in terms of risk-sharing activities and collaborative arrangements by bringing together research, business, public and private communities. The idea to avoid fragmentation and to look at the digital society as an inclusive European context, where certainly we need to keep the strong idea of the digital single market, but combine it with the digital European society in a way that we can definitely bring to the ingredients of Europe the idea of digital social charters, which will certainly need to address ethical and social issues together with economic and certainly well-being throughout Europe. The idea to open up economic developments in a wide diversity of situations, excelling in areas from digital inclusion to specialization jobs in sophisticated artificial intelligence-driven type of markets will certainly require skills which are evolving throughout generations in a yearly basis, and definitely this will require a better approach to share experiences and essentially to develop collaborative arrangements between public and private research and business sectors to exchange experience. The idea that the digital skills of the future are not the privilege of some, but should be shared among different views, will certainly bring to us a social perspective to look at the digital in an inclusive way.
Thank you. Then we have another point to put in our table, that we move from the digital single market to digital single society, European society. And this is an important step because we go in the direction of the holistic approach. Then Mario, what you can add on this?
Yeah, thank you. Talking about ingredients, I could mention and would focus on 3 of them. Number 1, governance model. It has to do with coordination and collaboration. I'm going to elaborate a little built right now. Number two, support for companies, especially SMEs, as I mentioned earlier. And number three, financing, which was already mentioned by Martina. And I think investment and financing also by you is especially relevant. No? Talking about governance model, I think coordination and collaboration is a key issue here. So I think it's also important, and we welcome the initiative of the Commission of launching the European Platform of National Initiatives. We think there must be a very clear distribution of functions between the European Commission and member states. And then, I mean, there's a lot of work to do. And every agent has its own responsibilities and competencies. So here, with this European Platform of National Initiatives, I think we have to work in terms of best practices. Martina already mentioned that. I think it's very important to share best practices and to learn from others. Also, we could build the kind of data warehouse of use cases. So we also have to learn about use cases all throughout Europe, all throughout the European Union. We have to work on a digital network of capabilities. Also, it has to do with the skills. Platforms, of course, is another field, a very important field of collaboration. And in general, how to create a common framework to support the journey toward digital transformation. That's number one. So, and this has to do a lot with the governance model, which is more or less already in place in terms of the European Commission. Number two, support for companies. I mentioned that every company has its own necessities, but we have to focus a little bit more on SMEs. I mean, that's not a mystery, because if we're talking about SMEs, we're talking about 99% of companies in Europe. And so we're talking about most of the economic landscape in Europe. Here, we think that we have to go together with companies in their journey toward digitization. It's very important because some of them are not aware of how much is at stake with all this digitization process. And also, if they are aware, perhaps they don't have the means or they don't have the time to go ahead. So I think part of the public administration has to be to go with them and give them the tools and the instruments to go forward in their process, in their journey toward digitization. And here, a very important part is financing. I think financing is another support, another important help for them to go ahead and to be successful. And here, for instance, in Spain, we have launched an instrument of financing directly for SMEs. We have already launched a couple of calls in the last year and a half. We have mobilized around 30 million euros of digital investments. And then I think this is the way. So we're trying to help them with soft loans, 10-year loans with a grace period of 3 years, interest rate of Euribor. So I think there are very good conditions for them to go abroad and then to help them in this process. Because I think if we are not active in that field, we are going to have problems as Europe as a whole, in being successful in this digitization process.
Thank you, thank you. Let me try to understand, if I can summarize it with the 3 words: business model, governance, and finance. Maybe it could be an holistic way and a structured way just to move for our project in Europe. Then sometimes, we separate the three items, business model, governance, and finance. But I feel that more and more we need to use a better structured way to manage this complex model. Let me show you a short video that in some way is related to what you were saying. Thank you.
What makes us human? Our brains and minds? Our intelligence? A sense of self?
Thank you, thank you. The video is very interesting because it tried to synthesize some of the ingredients that already we put on the table. But next is Matthias.
Yeah, I would highlight 3 elements. One is financing. And if you look at financing, this has also at least 3 elements. Concentration of public investments in the digital future. By the way, we are not doing this. We are not doing this in the European Union. Maybe, by the way, we are not doing this at home. We are increasing our R&D efforts, but we are not concentrating this on, let's say, in our budget. Second, we need to have a deeper look at the regulations that we have. I'll give you one idea. As long as we have the same regulation for fiber infrastructure as for the old infrastructure, we are not going to create new investments. By the way, we are discussing this at the moment. We don't have a common position on this. There must be a differentiated way of regulation between old infrastructure and new infrastructure to foster more investment. And third element, we must be more attractive for venture capital because we are not so far. If you look, give you just 2 numbers. Silicon Valley, 65 billion a year. 65 billion of venture capital. Germany, last year, peak 4 billion. Europe, about 12, 13, 40 billion. So far behind other areas. And without venture capital, by the way, we can't create innovative startup scene. We can't create this. And they can't grow. Therefore, we need new elements also of financing. Second one, everyone is talking about skills and qualifications. And this is true. By the way, this was true also in the 4 digital world. Qualification was the key. But it's also true, we are not and we cannot define what we mean, what kind of qualifications are needed. What do we have to learn in school? What do we have to learn in our dual education system when you go into a job? This is not clear yet. So what are key elements for a basic digital qualification? And I think because we have a European working market, labor market, we must have at least a common idea what this might mean. And the third one, that's also key for me, we need an industrial policy strategy in European Union. Because it's very true, key elements and key technologies are not coming from Europe. And by the way, some experts say we don't even understand a couple of technologies that are going to be produced somewhere else. And if we don't understand them, there might be problems in using them in the right manner or understanding what kind of data security problems this might come. So we need a clear strategy for industrial digital policy strategy, concentrating on AI, supercomputing, cloud computing, and so on. This is key for Europe, otherwise, and cybersecurity. Otherwise, we are going to become more and more dependent from others, and we are not first movers. We are then an economy who is running behind the others, and I think this is not helpful. So this would be my 3 ingredients we need for the future of digitization in Europe.
Yeah, thank you so much. I agree 100% with you. What I would like is to reverse. First of all, maybe we needed to have an industrial digital policy. First of all, because we needed to understand what we want. Second is the skills that we need in order to provide people that are able to work on this new strategy. And third one is related to finance. Because sometimes if we don't keep it together, And again, the holistic approach is something that we need really to learn. We don't use in the best ways the money.
If I may comment on this, I think this is a very academic approach. What we have to do is we have to do this in parallel, because that's the world. Without financing, no industrial policy. Without an industrial policy, we can't discuss in a proper way, let's say, what kind of qualifications we need and so on. So these three elements are dependent, and we have to develop them in a parallel way, because we can't wait to have, let's say, things in the first pot and waiting for the other. I think that would be not appropriate.
You are right, but I have the feeling that we needed to have an overall strategic plan, maybe for 10 years, not just a short term. And this way we can move in parallel with the three lines that you put on the table. Thank you so much. And the last one for this question is Ivan.
Yes. So I would like to comment on what you said. Of course, we need investment, and this is absolutely important, and you need infrastructure to be able to achieve good results. At the same time, I would like to say that in digital technologies, you normally don't need too much to invest. I mean, what I would like to say, it's not something crucial. You may try to do it in a sort of a bit more clever way somehow. So I agree with you. We need infrastructure, and this is important. But from my point of view, what is very important for me, it's education. And when I say education, I mean education starting from primary schools, because, digitalization is something very natural to children. They do it like very simple. And this is, from my point of view, important for this as ingredient. Another important ingredient I would like to mention is to look for more clever way to achieve good results. What I mean, there are already technologies. We are talking a lot. I'm professor in computer science or data scientist, so I would say something about my area. So we are talking about exascale computers, but what it means, normally people measure the performance of computers using some specific tests. There are so-called NASA tests where you just multiply two very large matrices, or you multiply matrix by vector and things like that. But in practice, when you do modeling, climate modeling or things like that, you never, not never, very often you do operations like that, but you do some other operations. So, and in this situation, it's not very crucial to run for very, very high performance computing, but for a more clever way to organize communication between processors in supercomputers. So this is a very hot topic for today. And I would like to say that here in Europe, we have knowledge about that, because it is about creating algorithms, about creating software, and it's called middleware. So how you analyze your job, your computational job, which you send to the supercomputer, and how you can choose the best connectivity for processors to achieve this very high performance. I would like to tell you that two big computational computers that I installed in China, very often they reach their top performance. They don't reach their top performance very often. So it's better to concentrate on new clever technologies. This is one point, and to educate people starting from the primary school. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Then investment in new technology and investment in education, starting from the primary school. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now we have the third question that is related again to investment, but collectively investment. This means not in each country, not separate, but also with the relation between Europe and the member states. Then we need to do something that we did not in the best way in the last few years. Let me ask, how should we collectively invest in digital to address the challenges Europe is facing? I think we can start again from Martina.
Thank you very much. And I think that answering to your question, I can react on something what was said before in the previous debate. I think that we need to realize that digitization and changes in the labor market can be somehow worrying to people. And this is like a general, independently from digitization, I feel it as a responsibility of all of us, because we need to explain to people what will be the future, what qualifications they should have for the future. And of course, we don't know it yet. We don't know it. But we can know it only if we cooperate all together, because politicians, policymakers alone, they cannot know it. Education system alone, I have my doubts if education system can know it. So we have to work with businesses and with industries. And believe me, all great, starting from startups, SMEs, big industries in the digital world, they know what are the future needs, what we will need, how we need to educate people. So the only recipe I can give here is a cooperation of this triangle. Sometimes we heard about cooperation between education system, academic system, and businesses and industry. But I think that what is missing is the policymakers. So we need a triangle. We need these three parts working together to create what will be the future in labor market. And we have to be very careful how we address it. And I am very much aware of it. Sometimes my colleagues are saying, well, 54% of jobs will be replaced by robotization and digitalization. I mean, this is absolutely wrong approach. Of course, we don't have right numbers. We don't know how many jobs. If my job will exist, I think my job will exist even with robots. But okay, if your job will exist with the robots, we don't know it. But we have to read very well the studies, and we have not to worry people too much, just to create what really will be needed in the future labor market. And I'm coming back to what I said before. It will be maybe more than some concrete qualification. It will be flexibility, adaptability, and lifelong learning. People will change their jobs 5-6 times during their career, which was not happening in previous generations. So we have to be very careful at this. And of course, this triangle working together is very important. And here I come to the cooperation between the European level and member states, because companies and education systems, and just be aware that we have always 28 education systems, 28 labor markets. We don't have one European labor market. So we have to be very focused on what are the real needs of every labor market in each member state. And the European Commission, European Parliament, European institutions are obliged to give a very general view on this, and trying to be tailor-made for every member state. So this is why we need very narrow cooperation between European level and member states. And of course, we mentioned it, I mentioned it before, and you repeated it, sharing best practices. We were hearing it now in this panel, how many good best practices are there in member states. So we just really need to identify good and impactful projects which are easily replicable, why not? And trying to replicate them in other member states and working on it. So this is possible only through cooperation. If we want to call this cooperation a triangle, if we want to call this cooperation holistic strategy, but we need it, and I think this is the main change we saw in the last year. And it really happened, because I hear it from debates, and I hear it how debates changed in this year. So this holistic strategy, this cooperation, knowing that we cannot do, some companies cannot do it without education system cannot do it without companies and without policymakers. This is something which is the most important thing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Then I can say that the cooperation is the key word, in the sense of cooperation between the three actor of a triangle, cooperation between countries, cooperation between Europe and countries, looking for the 500 million of citizens that we have in Europe. This is the key point that we need to put in evidence. Manuel.
Thank you very much, Francesco, again. I would like to emphasize that digital is an opportunity for Europe if it is definitely a catalyst for cohesion. And this is critical under the current times where Europe at large is discussing and opening up the debates for the financial perspectives towards the next decade. Because this means definitely a better understanding of how to bring together competitiveness and cohesion. And that has not been addressed always in the last at least 2 decades. We can complain when we compare Europe against China or the United States. But we can also understand better the unique values of European society and why Europe at large can effectively use digital as a factor for social cohesion and for certainly European added value if you invest in a way which certainly must be different from others are considering. As already been said by Martina, we need carefully address the specific nature of the digital markets and the way that we can essentially bring to the center those which have been usually taken and considered in the margins, so that the digital is an opportunity for competitiveness together with cohesion. This will require a new approach to structural funds together with the way we look at competitiveness tools, including the framework program. Certainly we need more financing, but we need to address private and public investment together to build a cohesion and unique digital market together with a digital society that again can be an effective digital society for everyone and not excluding. At the current demographic trend of Europe, we need to look carefully at the sustainability of our demographics by involving everyone, every single European citizens, in a way that the idea of the digital is not to exclude some, but essentially to create jobs for everyone, and then definitely need to have a common joint approach towards a digital European society.
Thank you, Manuel. Then we can try to summarize that the digital has to be democrats in the sense that it has to be inclusive for all the 500 million citizens in Europe, with a difference and with the capability and also with the different in age, then it is a great opportunity for Europe. And we needed to use till the end for this. Then the next, Ivan.
I would like to add something to what Manuel said just. So I agree that it's important to have this cohesion and very good balance, optimal balance between private investment and public investment. This is extremely important, and it's also a sort of challenge for Europe. I think that the main ambition of digitalization should be to make the European citizen happy. So what means happy? Some people are trying to measure the happiness. What very often, sometimes we're introducing some measures, how we should measure it, and some countries are doing that. So let's try to do that. In order to be successful in this direction, we have to try to find a sort of optimization problem, because we are solving different optimization problems. What I would like to say, we politicians normally solve the following optimization problem. We want to be re-elected in 4 years, and that's it, something like that. I'm very rough, you know, but at the same time, scientists are solving different optimization problems. They're looking for fundamental results for forever, you know, citizens are solving different problems. So it's important to try to find one global optimization problem and to try to do it. And I believe that the area of digitalization is one area where one can find an optimal solution in order to make European citizens happy.
Thank you. I think the key words is European citizen more happy than before, using this digital society. This is very, very good. Matthias, now you are in trouble, huh?
Yeah, really, because I have doubts that this is the future, because I think, in difference to you, we have to find a European way of digitization. Because when you listen to all these people coming from the Silicon Valley, the Facebook, the Zuckerbergs and all the companies with that, and they try to explain us one thing. Technology is the answer to the problems of the world. By the way, this was never true in history, because technologies were always only an instrument. They could help, they could support certain things, but they were never the solution for social or other questions. So the European approach should be a realistic approach, using the opportunities, but also addressing the challenges that are linked to digitization. Because, as we heard before, yes, business models will change, radical. Yes, qualifications will change, radical. We don't know at the end. I don't know. No one knows. If at the end we have more or less jobs. And by the way, we never talk about the quality of jobs. Because within the debate we have words like the gig economy. Do you know what the gig economy is? A gig in music is that you go from one place to the other and play a concert, and then you are going to move. And the gig economy is that you are becoming a workforce that has gigs with certain companies. This is not my future wish of, let's say, labor and security, social security for people. So therefore I would say, let's look what we can do in Europe to use the opportunities, but also address the challenges and stick to a couple of values that are important for us. I'll give you one example what I mean. If you look at some digital companies, they are not more competitive because they are digital. They are more competitive because they are not using or must not use the standards competitors of them that are not in the digital, that are not that digital has to do. Uber is a classical answer, by the way. They are not better because they are digital. They don't have to fulfill certain standards. And therefore we have to look that, let's say, we don't get a development by digitization that is going to a radical deregulation of working standards. We need more flexibility, I totally agree. We need a flexibility consensus also on, let's say, working time and so on. But we also have to look where are, let's say, limits. Where are limits? And this could be a specific European approach that can be very attractive. Because at the end, I'm very sure about one thing. Digitization is only going to work if we have acceptance by people. People that are voters, people that are consumers, people that are parents, people that are labor, that are workers or employees or howsoever. And we need, and they have different roles. And without their acceptance of using digital technologies in these different roles, we can't develop this. And therefore we need a couple of common understanding, framework, and so on, that makes this possible, because I don't believe in the Zuckerberg world that's going to say technology is the answer to everything. This is not true. This is not true. Technology can help, but they are never the answer. We have to find answers, and we have to try to shape the development, and we have to build up standards, law, a legal framework, and so on, and then we can have a very good and also optimistic future. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with your thinking, and I think in Europe we have already this alliance between social and innovation, and we keep social innovation as only one link. And this is a difference that we have if we compare Europe with the US, with China, with Japan, with Korea. Then more and more we need to invest in social innovation. This means that each euro that we invest for one phase is innovation, in this case digital innovation, and the other one is a response of a demand in terms of a social issue.
Yeah, but try to explain me with the following. What's social about the so-called social media? Facebook is a social media. I don't know what's social about this. This is a business model. And we should name it as such. And we shouldn't, let's say, use words that could come from George Orwell, 1984, because nothing about Facebook is social. It's a business model, that's all, that's fine, but we have to also look at this as a business model, not as the huge social innovation, because this is not true.
Okay, thank you. Mario.
Yeah, a lot has been already said about the financing and investment, but just let me stress a couple of points. Number one, I think we need European financial instruments. We don't have right now European financial instruments. Very likely, it should be within this digital industrial European policy. If we have that strategy, then we may have, or we should have, these European financial instruments. We have already for research, for development, some for innovation, but we need them for industrial digital policy. This kind of instruments is something that I know the Commission is thinking about it, and I hope in the next financial perspective we have this kind of new instrument. Number two, collaboration, cooperation, of course. I think that also the design of European instruments have to be in the way to foster, to encourage this cooperation between member states. So many times we have the cases of collaboration within a member state, within the same borders. So we need to go beyond borders and to have collaborations between Spain and Germany and France and these kind of clusters and all kind of entrepreneurial projects. No? That's important, and I think if the Commission designs instruments in that sense, we may be successful in that way. And finally, I think a good example of financing that puts together financing with services is our digital innovation hubs. That's an initiative launched by the Commission. In some member states, we have already our working groups and working on that, and there is already a register of them. And as I mentioned, they combine services. The more services they provide, the better. They combine also the participation of the major stakeholders that have something to do and to say about digital industrial policy. And finally, also they need a model of specialization. In some cases, maybe a sectoral specialization. Other cases, more technological specialization, but I think the way to success is also this specialization for digital innovation hubs.
Yeah, thank you for this digital hub, innovation hub, is really a key word for the future. More and more in Europe, we have experiment and pilot project in this. What we needed to go is to do one step further, and to identify one model of a digital innovation hub and try to spread out around Europe. We are almost at the end of this section, but do you know, most of the time there is some kind of distance between Brussels and our countries. And what we decided to do was to launch a poll with a few questions that are related to what we discussed today. And we have some preliminary results on this. And what I would like to do is to present these results, are only preliminary, are not all the results, but this could be very nice in order to have a real link between a round table in Brussels and what real citizens understand and what they would like to have. The questions are, for the poll, bring connectivity everywhere in Europe, 16%. Foster European leadership in R&I of digital technologies, 80%. Harness of potential of big data, 14%. Train and educate for the digital area, 25%. I think we agree. Ensure safe internet environment. We did not discuss about this point, but we have 17%. And ensure SMEs access to latest digital technology, 10%. Then I think we needed to do some more work. We are doing pretty well from education and also for the European leadership, but we still have a problem with ensure SMEs access to latest digital tech, and also we can say to harness the potential of big data. Sometimes the communication is too difficult for people, and we need also to try to be more and more close to the people, also in terms of what they can understand. That this is a good point, I think. We have 1 more minute, 1 word per person, just to summarize what we did in this long table. 1 word.
Okay, I would say that digital transformation is not a 100-meter race, but it's more like a marathon.
Thank you. Martina.
I still see the deficit in digital skills, which is among the 2 barriers in digital transformation, so we need to invest in new skills, new training, and young talents for Europe, if Europe wants to be competitive.
Then you agree?
I agree.
Thank you. Manuel.
People and knowledge for all. Don't forget that these figures are average. And the reality of each of our societies, of each of our regions, are very much different from each other.
Thank you. Victor, Ivan.
Yeah, for me, education is the key word, starting from primary schools. That's extremely important. And also, I would like to mention flexibility, something important. Not to look for peak performances, but to try to do it in an optimal way.
Matthias?
I would say 4 I's: innovation, investment, infrastructure, inclusiveness. These are the key elements for the future in Europe.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all of you. I think it was a very nice panel. And thank you.
Thank you. And I particularly liked that not all of you agreed on everything, so that was really refreshing. Thanks for moderating the panel. And you are invited to go back to your seats, actually, since when I was introducing this panel, I was already talking about Digital Day 2017 in Rome. And during Digital Day 2017, 27 member states and 2 EEA countries signed the letter of intent on the cross-border testing and demonstration of connected and automated driving. After the announcement of a first set of cross-border corridors in September 2017, today we take the next steps. And this will be an update from Bulgaria, Greece, and Serbia on the corridor Thessaloniki-Sofia-Belgrade, and the signing of a letter of intent regarding their cooperation between Spain and Portugal on the Porto-Vigo and Merida-Evora Evora corridors. So we'll start with a statement of Bulgaria, Greece, and Serbia on their cooperation, and please come to the lectern here. Bulgaria, Greece, and Serbia, those three representatives. And of course, you can give them a hand of applause. Thank you. So please. Hello. So just a short statement, I guess.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure, first of all, to express the gratitude of the Serbian government to the European Commission representatives, and especially to Commissioner Mariya Gabriel, for giving us the opportunity to participate in this very prestigious project devoted to the implementation of the latest technologies in the automotive industry, together with our friends from Bulgaria and Greece. New technologies aimed for implementation in the field of connected and automated driving should be analyzed and tested over different roads in different cases. We believe that this can encourage any work towards raising of road traffic safety, preparing of the coordinated policies and regulation in connected car driving, as well as raise the awareness of general traffic safety. Innovations in history were often led by particular experiments that has been waited a long time for its confirmation and verification. However, knowledge and experience sharing is and should be a part of our everyday activities, enabling fast development of many creative solutions for issues that facilitate our lives. The Republic of Serbia is committed that we'll work together closely with two countries, Bulgaria and Greece, towards agreement on testing of connected and automated mobility systems on highways and in the cross-border cases, confirming readiness of our experts, researchers, and our operators to work on such a complex issues. We expect that these tests, together with similar obtained in some other environment and on different corridor, will foster the employment of smart solutions for connected cars. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and good luck for your endeavors.
Well, thank you, dear Commissioner, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me to convey my minister's greetings. He's very sorry not to be able to be with us today because of unforeseen developments in Athens that made his presence necessary there. We are very happy to work together with our partners from Serbia and Bulgaria on this project. We are politically committed to it. We are working very closely, and we hope that it will be finalized soon. And of course, that the letter of intent also will be signed very soon. People say that all these projects are things of tomorrow. Well, this tomorrow is today. And we are very happy to work together in making this a good tomorrow. And this project reflects our conviction that things will be so. Thank you very much.
Are you finished altogether? No.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day for us because this is not just a signature. This is something very important for us because you know that for the Bulgarian presidency, one of the priorities is digital connectivity to Balkans, and this is a contribution to this process, which is very important. So we work closely with our colleagues from Serbia and Greece, of course, and I appreciate very much this event. So I'm very happy about that. Thank you.
So thank you. Thank you. So I now call on stage the High Representatives of Spain and Portugal, who will sign their letter of intent for the mentioned cooperations between Porto Vigo and Merida Evora corridors. Welcome. So thank you. And please join the Commissioner Gabriel, in the center of the stage. She will congratulate you and give you the documents. So thank you, and good luck with this cooperation. It is indeed important. So now we have a short speech, I guess, by you. So I'm sorry, by the lecture. Okay, it's a long stage. I was told always walk the entire stage when you do a moderation, so I'll do that here all the time.
Of course.
There you go.
Dear Commissioner, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Portugal has been following and participating with interest and strong determination the initiatives that have been carried out under connected and automated driving. This cooperation between Portugal and Spain expresses our common will to foster and test a large-scale demonstration of connected and automated driving in between Porto and Vigo and Évora and Mérida corridors. Our main goal is to establish a closer cooperation regarding the principles and objectives set out in Rome. We strongly believe that implementation of this letter of intent that we signed will be a turning point for Portugal and Spain aspirations towards the development of European strategy for CITS. In this way, our transport system will be safer, environmentally friendly, cost efficient, and we will not forget the several modes of transport, without forgetting that 2018 is the year of multimodality. This is for us a great opportunity, and we look forward to participate in new and coming dialogues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's basically the end of panel one and the beginning of our Digital Day 2018. We do have a short break of about 15 minutes, so it would be really nice of you all if you will be back here in the room at 11:30. Please be back here at 11:30. We will have coffee in between, but please be back sharp. Thank you.